Hey guys, welcome back to our Train Along program. In this session, we will be teaching sit and down. We're going to start with sit, of course. So this is Stella. She's a very excited, little nervous golden doodle. So she has learned how to sit, but she's never learned how to sit on a prong collar before. So this is all new to her. So even when you're starting with a dog who knows basic commands, it's still a really good thing to teach them with the prong collar pressure. It helps reinforce the prong. It helps them understand what we're asking of them in other situations. And it just increases our communication during times like the walk when we might want to reinforce sit or start with auto sits. So to teach sit with a prong collar, it is very simple. All you're going to do is apply some upward pressure using the leash. So what you will do, and you'll see, we'll slow down here a second so you can see a little better. So just the leash goes up, and as soon as her butt hits the ground, we release pressure on the leash. For a dog that isn't as comfortable with the sit or isn't as comfortable with the prong, usually just some pressure using your hand on their bottom will help them realize what you're asking. So that's a really great way to teach it with puppies or even a dog that's just a little nervous or unsure of exactly what you want. So just like any other command, we will break Stella from this command. So we will say break, and that will allow her to get up, and then we will bring her back around and do it again. So if you watch closely, we will ask her to sit. We will use that upward pressure. And then as soon as that butt hits the ground, pressure turns completely off. So we want to make sure that our pressure is being used properly and she knows exactly when she did what we asked. So after sit, we're going to teach down. So down isn't very difficult. The first thing that you want to do is switch around your prong collar. So instead of the chain being in the back, you want the chain to be in the front so that it's easier to help guide them down. You can, if you are working with a dog that you very much trust, you can do as I'm doing here and kind of pull them into a down. But a lot of times what that causes, exactly what Stella's kind of trying to do here, is like crawl up into me, get close to me, and use me as a source of comfort and a way to get out of what we're asking her to do. So what I recommend that my clients do, you put the dog into a sit, and then you will guide them down using foot and leash pressure, which I'll show you in a second. You can see how me being so close to Stella in this particular situation is being a little bit counterproductive. She's thinking that if she can get close enough to me, all that we need to do is snuggle, and then I will stop asking things of her like a sit or a down. It doesn't work like that, and it shouldn't work like that, even though it might be cute when your dog comes and snuggles right up in there. That's not what we want, so it's not a good thing to reward. So all you have to do is put your foot on the ground and pull the leash down. And you can see how much better Stella reacted this time as opposed to the previous times. So you can also I will keep my foot there until I want Stella to get up. That way, if she does get up on her own, she will give herself a very minor, but a correction so that she knows, okay, this is the position that I need to stay in. So doing it with sneakers or boots on, something where a leash is easily going to slide through the arch of your foot, is the easiest way to do it. And then just like anything else, we will release her and we will ask her to do it again. Just like place in down, you want to do a lot of reps, and you want to make sure that there are enough distractions around to teach the dog that even in exciting environments, even with Lainey there peeking from her place across the room, you can't get up. You need to hold this. This, again, eliminates the need to tell your dog stay. And it really also helps with impulse control. It helps them realize that, I just don't do things because I want to. I do things because I have been asked to do them. Once your dog's pretty good at a down from a sit, you can just go straight into a down. There is no reason to go from a down to a sit. A down is a very simple thing, and it doesn't take that much practice, especially for an older dog when you're using the prong. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with skipping right ahead and going straight to a down. When teaching both a down and a sit, it's really important to make sure that you do not practice one more than the other, because especially if you're going from a sit to a down, because we don't want the dog to think that every time you put them in a sit, you're going to ask them to go into a down. As a trainer with the dogs that I train and my own personal dog, I am completely fine if a dog goes from a sit to a down after a pause. As long as you know that they understand what you're asking, then that's completely okay. I like to look at it as if, you're standing in a room full of chairs for an extended period of time. There is no reason that they need to be sitting if they're more comfortable in a down, especially, if you were out on a walk, you stop to talk to a neighbor, they should be able to get comfy. They should be able to relax. So make sure that you are going back and forth and not always making a sit end in a down. It's also good to teach from a down back to a sit. So as you can see, what I just did there, she didn't really want to come up with the upward leash pressure that I was applying to her. So I just kind of walked in, made my body language, send her a signal, which popped her up into a sit, and then we again rewarded her. Stella's getting used to the drill now, so as most dogs do, as soon as I kind of stick my foot out a little bit, she will start to go into a down, which is cool that they begin to read your body language with that. But also be aware of the body language signals that you are giving off, not to inadvertently ask them to do something that you did not intend to ask them to do. So just like anything else, once she nails this, start throwing in distractions, start throwing in distance, start asking her to do sits from, across the room. And the more you work on it, the more reliable she will be inside the house and outside the house. But by all means, this isn't something that you should just practice in your living room. You should practice it in the yard. Once she's good at it in the yard, you should take her to the park. Practice it in some grass with some smells. Once she's got it down there, take her to the dog park. See if you can get her to do a good down in the middle of a dog park. See if you can get her to sit while dog's running around her. All of these behaviors, all of these practices are awesome for impulse control. And impulse control is something that most dogs don't have because most owners don't put in the time to teach it, or really they don't know how to teach it. But man, once your dog understands how to control his or her impulses, it's pretty awesome. The level of trust between you two really increases, and it makes life a whole lot easier, if nothing else. So work on those sits, work on those downs, make sure to vary them, make sure to not get into any patterns with any of your commands unless it is always going to be patterned, like something like an automatic down on place. So, now we have Stella's human sister coming around to be a distraction. So she's going to walk around Stella, and you can tell that was hard for her. Stella wanted her to pet her. Stella wanted to say hi. And, you can see Lainey in the background. Lainey's also excited that Ava's trotting around, but she's controlling herself. She's staying on place, and she knows that, you don't have an option. And that's because we've worked hard on it. But it isn't something that, only a trainer's dog will do. It is something that any dog can do. You just need to put in the time. You need to give the consequences, and you need them to know when they're doing an awesome job. So keep up the good work hard, and you will see these results, if not better.